My name's Helena, and I'm a really shy, private person. That's why I was not shooting videos after the thing for my father went viral. But the murder of my fiancé is kind of getting swept under the rug, so I can't let that happen. I have so many things I would like to say about that preliminary hearing for his killers that happened on the 28th. I honestly don't know if I can fit it all in one video. What happened at that courthouse? But I thought I'll say something nice, you know. I was determined I was not going to cry in front of Josh's killers. I was so determined I was not going to do that. And I met some friends of his up there that I didn't know about. You know, you hear people falling in with the wrong crowd, and Josh fell in with the perfect crowd. I loved meeting these people. They were so him. They were Sunny and Bessie. They were they're so autistic. And I know that's a weird thing that to say it like that, but if you're not autistic, you probably just won't get it. And if you are autistic, you completely understand what I'm saying. Josh was so autistic. And when he was in Fort Bragg, he was treated like garbage all the time. I saw him treated so badly, even by people I knew, even by people that I trusted, because he'd get overstimulated, you know, sensory-wise, and he could melt down, and he was stimming all the time. I miss that man stimming so much. It was so beautiful. He'd dance, and he just couldn't stop dancing. He was so lighthearted in so many ways. For someone who had a backstory like he did, it was a real accomplishment. And these people that I met, Sunny and Bessie, they were just, if I could have picked up friends for him, this is probably who I would have picked out. You know, we were planning our wedding, and we didn't want even 10 people at it, because we're both so private, we're both so shy, and I knew when I met these people that he would have wanted them at our wedding, like, hands down, no question. And I'm so happy that he had friends with him like that. I'm so happy that he didn't die alone, that he had someone that tried to save his life, someone that loved him. So few people have someone with them that loves them when they die, and he did. And because someone else there were multiple people there when my fiancé was murdered, so I know what happened. I know exactly what happened. I know the details that are just not going to be released to the newspapers. And he had people with him that loved him when he died. And from everything they told me, I am very sure that he thought he was going to survive. And maybe if he hadn't been so far out in such a remote spot, he would have survived. Maybe. I was able to hug the person that tried to save his life and say how grateful I am that he didn't die alone and that he had them with him, because I know that he would have felt safer with them there. I had all these nightmare images of like him dying on some street corner, because when I googled where they said he died, it looked like it was in the city, all cement, concrete, just, and he died in such a beautiful place. And I was able to go there and sit there for hours, and we were able to talk about all the beautiful things he'd done for the community up there. Like how even when he didn't have a home, he was riding around helping distribute food to the homeless up there, which is exactly what I would have expected from him. And that he was, even though he decided we were not going to raise the kids there, he was trying to make the schools better for children, that he gave some kind of speech about how to improve things for little kids there. And that's just so who he was. He cared about kids so much. He wanted kids to have something better than he'd had. You know, the entire time we were a couple, I used to tell the very few close friends I had, you have no idea about Joshua Lee McCollister. He has the most tragic backstory of anybody I have ever met. The things that man has been through. Just please be kind. And there was so much unkindness because they couldn't get past the stimming and the rapid speech, the sensory stuff. You know, I'm autistic, but I don't, girls don't present as autistic as guys do. But that means the girls just kind of fly under the radar. But Josh he was so beautifully autistic. Oh man. And we were swapping autism stories within like a couple hours of meeting each other. It was just so great. And after he'd told me he loved me, you know, I mean, that first night, that first night he told me he loved me, he actually proposed. Like, he was not messing around. And the first present he gave me was an autism lanyard. So, in the parking lot right outside the preliminary hearing, his good friend Sonny oh man, I was not gonna cry in that courtroom. I was so determined I would not do that. But out in the parking lot, Sonny gave me this Josh's autism lanyard, and he wore it almost every single day. I'm amazed he wasn't wearing it when he was shot, because he always had it on. And he was a very tactile person. He used to say it's all about that brass, about that brass, about that brass. He loved brass so much that he used to say our wedding rings were gonna have to be brass, because he just loved that feeling so much. And I just started crying when I saw this, because, you know, I remember when he ordered that, he got 2 of them. We were both gonna have one of these. And mine broke. He wasn't into alligators, but I am, because I was suspended over an alligator pit. No, held over an alligator pit when I was a kid, and I was saying when I was a kid, I'm not going to be scared of alligators. No matter what happened, I'm going to love alligators. And so Josh had 2 of these ordered because of me. He was representing me, as that's how he'd say it. And mine broke, and he told me, baby, don't worry, I'll get you another one. And I guess he just never got around to ordering it. And so now I have his. So, so when Sunny gave me this, I just, like, I couldn't stop crying. You know, I was trying so hard while I was processing, and I could feel tears rolling down my face, and I really didn't want Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand to have that, because, you know, I just didn't want them to get to see me cry, I guess. I didn't anticipate going out to the exact spot where Josh was murdered. A couple hours later, that just, I guess they've definitely seen me cry now. But I know that this is what Josh would have wanted me to have, probably more than anything. Because that was our first romantic token. He would have wanted that to be the last thing too. That it was just so him, an autism lanyard. He would want to go out on that note too. Somebody said to me online today, what does the autism have to do with him being shot? And believe me, it matters. It matters because Deunn Willis worked with autistic people. He worked with autistic kids, minors. And he has been trying to use that online to his advantage. Like, I'm a good person. I work with disabled kids. I work with the autism community. On all I can say that, dude, you do not get squat from the autism community if you murder one of us. If you want to use your work with the autism community to your advantage, then you are damn well going to have to hear about you murdered an autistic man who was getting a puppy for his 2 autistic children. You know, I didn't open up that door. I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know what he did for a living. But if he's going to try and use the autism community to his advantage, then the autism community needs to know we do not owe this man squat. He murdered an autism dad. That's what he did. And Josh was such a special person. He was so proud to be autistic. I mean, he was wearing this every day so people could see that, you know, yeah, I'm autistic and I'm proud of it. That was so important to him. So, again, Deunn Willis, you opened this door. You want to use the autism community? I'm going to make very sure that you don't get to do that in court. I'm going to make very sure that you don't get to do that in the media. You murdered one of us. You chose to do that. You chose to shoot my fiancé like he was garbage. That man was half of my soul. I will not let you use autism, something that was so precious and meaningful to him, as a means to get off with a lighter sentence. No, absolutely not. You deserve the maximum penalty. You and Danielle Durand you deserve the maximum penalty. Live with the choices you made.